Welcome to Part 1 Supplemental for Competency 14. In this video, we will work with the transformations but using the application function on the TI-84. Okay, number 1, using the translation vector 3i minus j if point C lies on AB and the coordinates of C are 0, 14 over 5. What is the location of C prime? So what you're doing is you're sliding, translating. So that implies addition. So what do we really have? Remember, we're going to use application for this. So let's look at it in that way. Now, if you haven't watched the first one, the first video, 14 part 1, go back and watch it so you see the longhand mechanics. And if you're not used to linear algebra, as I said before, please make yourself familiar. Okay, so we push application, arrow up to side tools. Okay, press enter. Enter again. We need number 4. Okay, I have some stuff entered already, but before we begin, let's discuss, okay? All right, so what we need is we're going to have, now this is our translation vector. We are putting it in V2, and we are taking our original point here, C, okay, and we are going to add it. Okay, and we're going to call it V1, okay? So we have V1. Added to the translation of V2. And our calculator will always pop out our answer in V9. Okay? Now, also, we need to be aware that everything is in decimals. Okay? And so this decimal here, let me write this in. This guy right here, he is 2.8. 2.8. That's a point, and that's a 2. 2.8. Okay. So what do? It's already entered. If it's not entered in your calculator, this is what you do. Press y equals below the xy because we are not in degrees. We don't have any degree measures. Okay. So here, just push your enter and then your 2.8 enter. Now to get the rest of it to come into view, literally push view. Okay, now we're only in scale of 1, so our calculator is going to show it in the little window a little cramped, okay? But we don't want to pay attention to that right now. It gives us an idea that it is 90 degrees. See how it says 90 degrees going up? But that's okay. What do we need to do? Well, we have V1 populated. You need to go to next, which is trace, okay, and y equals, and populate. I already have it populated, by the way. Populate your x and your y. So 3, enter, and -1. Remember to use that negative symbol, and enter. Now press view. Once you do that, now you have math. See where graph is? Press that and we're going to add, but you have to pick what you're going to add. Well, it's always going to bounce you to V1, vector 1. So pick your first vector, V1, and now you need to press add, which is your y equals. But you're adding V1 to V1. So go to next to get V2. Now press pick, and once you pick it, it automatically does the operation, and in V9, which is what we're in, there is your value. Okay, so we need 3 first. So mark out A, mark out B. We have 3. Now it's 1.8 for your Y value, which is over 1. Well, that eliminates D because it's less than 1. And you could back out and pop that in your calculator and see that 9 over 5 is 1.8. Okay? All right, let's go to number 2. Point D also lies on AB, and the coordinates of its image, that's our answer, where we're going to. Okay, so that basically, what do we got here? It equals this. So this would be our V9 from before. Uh, let's just imagine it is, okay, for operation's sake. Okay, so what do we need to do? Using the same translation vector in question one, what are the coordinates of D? So D would end up being our answer. Okay, so what we're going to say is V9 plus our V2 would equal our D. Okay, but that's not what's really going to go on. We're going to say D prime. Okay, so this is D. Okay, we need to find out what D is. So what do we really have? We need to populate D prime into something. So let's put it in, okay, one of our vectors on our calculator. So what do? Second mode. Well, that doesn't let you enter. So now you have to go second mode again. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to be able to enter, but we already have V1. I don't want to mess with V1 right now. V2, we're going to be using. So let's go next. CV3. Well, I have it populated already. Okay. And this 12 over 5 does equal 2.4. Now you can pop that in your calculator on your own and see that 2 times 5 is 10, which gives us 2 over 5, which is zero point 0.4. Okay. Anyway, regardless, we have that in V3. Okay. So what are we doing in our calculator? Well, we want to go back and find out D. Well, that is going to be V3 minus V2 is going to give us our original D. Okay. So we need to push math and see how it pops us all the way back to 1. We don't want 1. So go next, pick 1 and subtraction. And then we need to go over to, oh, wait a minute. We did wrong. Ugh. Okay. Don't don't listen to me right now. So go second mode. Sorry about that. So notice that when you make that mistake, you always have an option. You can opt out. You can go back and start over, which is fabulous. Okay, so trace, trace. I want V3, and I have it. Now I push math. Oh, darn. Sorry. Takes me all the way back. Now I got to pick it. Now I say subtraction. However, we got to go backwards to V2. Double check after all that. Double check yourself. Okay, now we have V3 minus V2. Pick it, and voila, what do we have? Okay, well, I can get rid of C and D. That's great. And, well, which one of these is 3.4? Well, 3 times 5 is 15. Okay. And 4 over 5 is, well, it looks like we have A. Okay, because 1 1 over 5 is point 0.2. Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to have to do a little bit of math in order. Yeah, 2.4. And what do we have left? 3.4. Okay, okay. So, yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely. A is correct. Yeah, it took me a second to wrap my head around it. Okay. In the time that I was yakking, if I were you, I would have went and backed out. See, look, you can go. But when you back out, it's really not hard to get back in, and everything will be still be there. So watch what I do. Second mode, second mode. Okay. And you're going to have to go again. Now you can exit. Okay. So what did we want to do? Well, we're going to test it out. 17 divided by 5. Yes, that is valid. Now to get back in, we just say apps, go back up, side tools, go back, back again. We need number 4 and go back to previous. Okay. There you go. V9 holds your last answer for you. Okay. So if you ever have a mental breakdown like I just did, you know what to do. Okay. All right. Let's see here if we can. All right. Give me just a second. I'm going to see if I can move this slightly so we can get all of our buttons so they can, yeah, see what happens. Okay, there we go. All right, let's go to number 3. Now, looks like for number 3, we're going to be answering. They say use the triangle GHJ with the coordinates GH and J with the translation vector 5i plus 2j for questions 3, 4, and 5. So what you need to do is we're already in our application. We need to go and populate everything. So I'm going to repopulate. And I'm going to say this. G is 1, H is 2, J is 3, and my translation is 4. And then after I do that, then I can come and perform the translations as needed, knowing that that's my population. Okay. All right. So go to next. If you were with me, you need to go back to V1, press your Y equals. So now we have -2, enter, -3, enter. Verify that that's what's entered. Press view. Okay, it's good. Now go to next and your Y equals. And we need to type over 4, enter, -3, enter, and press view. Verify again. Great. Go to next, Y equals, and we need 6, enter 5. Go to view. Oh, and see how you have a nice clear uh, ray there, a nice vector? Okay, so now we have 1, 2, 3. We need one more 4. And we need to remember that 4 is our translation. Okay, so Y equals, okay, we have 5, enter, 2, enter, and view. Okay, now we need to do some math. So let's read number 3. What are the coordinates of G prime? What they mean is you have to apply that translation vector to G. Okay, so what do we have here? We have V1 plus V4 equals. It will be in V9. Remember, each time we do this, it'll be stored in V9, so be careful with that, okay? All right, so oh, and remember, you've got your paper, and once you select things on your paper, if you wrote it down, so go ahead and jot things down on paper. Okay. Okay. So let's do this. So you push math, and it pops you back to 1, and we want 1. Okay, and we need to pick it, and we're adding. Okay, because we're translating, but we need to go all the way over to 4. So trace, trace, trace. There we go. Pick it. Bam, we have 3, -1, and that is option A. So see how quickly we get our answer without doing all that math? However, I did not want to uh, get rid of part 1 initially because I think it's vital that you know the mechanics, the actual hand operations in the background, because one, you may be teaching this. Okay, I already teach it. I never expected I would. And then also on variety of tests, they may say, well, what step is missing? Well, here's your image. So which one of A, B, C, D was the operation for this? So you need to know all of it. Okay. All right. So let's go to number 4. Number 4. What are the coordinates of the image of the midpoint of HJ? So what we need to do first is take HJ, okay? We need to find HJ, and then we need to divide it by 2, because obviously midpoint is divided by 2, and then apply our translation. So what do we really have? Well, let's see here. H to J. So we need to take V2 plus V3. Get that answer of V9. Divide it by 2. But you know what? At this juncture, I would put that into a different vector, and I would populate that value in, let's say, V5. Okay? And then we would take V5 and we would add that guy to our translation that we have in V4. Then we will get a new V9. And whatever that is, I bet that's going to be what we need. But let's give this all a try and see what happens, okay? So remember, you're in an answer mode right now. So you need to go second mode. It backs you up. Second mode to back up. Now we're in a entry mode, okay? So I can enter, and I need to go to V2, okay? And V2, you might want to see where I said before, V2 is 4, -3. So we are correct. So I need to say math. Well, see what happened. I went to it to check it, but it didn't matter because it popped me back to V1 again. It's okay. Go to trace. Great. Now we are going to pick it and we're going to add. But we need to go to 3. And remember, 3 was our J. So we have H plus J. Great. Right now, so we need to go over to that. Yes, and I am correct. And I keep looking at my paper, because we don't have that on screen anymore. So you might want to like jot these things down. Okay, so I have 2 plus 3. Great. So now push graph. Oh, and I have to half those. Okay, so that is actually, well, 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. Okay, and remember, I said we need to put that in V9. Okay, all right. So what do? I go back to entry mode. Or no, I mean V5. I think I said V9. V5. We're in V9. Okay, so second mode, second mode. Okay, go over to next until you see 5. See how it has zeros? I need to enter something in that. So I push Y equals, and I have 5, enter, and 1, enter. Okay. Uh-oh, and I wrote something incorrect. See how I did that? That's a no-no. I needed to put this in vector form. I apologize for that. And if you didn't know anything about vectors, you wouldn't have realized the mistake I made in writing that. And if you did know about vectors, you would have wondered, oh my gosh, what is this lady doing? Okay, well, my insanity's gone. I know what I'm doing now. Okay, so now I need to view that. Okay, and I see that it's stable, it's centered, and it's there. So I need to take that and add it to 4. But remember, when you push math, what happens? It pops back. Okay, so let's go back to 5. I need 5. Pick it, and now I'm adding. So I push Y equals, but I need to go backwards, so go previous. Now you have 5 plus 4. Pick it, and there's our answer. And that is correct, which, yes, with the image, and notice that I still have from the prior video the graph of it, which you could use to follow each of the operations manually and then try to do it by hand. But personally, I think the calculator makes it a lot faster. However, you have to know what's going on. And look at what V9 is doing for us. It shows us how it changed. It's very interesting. Okay, so let's look at number 5. All right, it says point L prime is the image of L, which lies on our triangle that we had in the beginning. If the coordinates of L prime. Okay, well, this is a prime and its coordinates that we don't have in our calculator. So notice we've used everything up to 5. So I say we put this guy in 6 to be safe, okay? What are the coordinates of L? So this is what we have. We have a situation that we had before. We're going to have to subtract, okay? Because prime would have been the answer from addition, okay? So what do we need? We need L prime minus, okay, our translation. And remember, our translation was V2. So we're going to put this guy in V6, okay? Oh, no, not V2. Sorry, V4. I apologize. We're in V4, and that's going to equal V9, which will equal our L, whatever that ends up being, okay? All right, so let's do this. Remember, we have to go into entry mode. We are not in entry mode. So second mode, we are now in entry. And go over, keep pushing trace until you get to where you're going to enter. Now, you can enter these in any V you want, any vector entry. It's up to you. You just keep up with your numbering on your own. Okay, so here we go. What do we need? It says V6, we're going to put 5.5. Remember, decimals are the best. Okay, and then 1.5 enter. And I'll be honest with you, try to put in a fraction in this entry where I am. It's not going to work. It will not take it, unfortunately. Okay, now let's push graph to view. Now we're fully entered. So what do we want to do? We want to go to our math, and we have to go all the way over to V6. We're going to take V6. We're going to pick it. Okay, pick it. Now we're going to subtract, but we're subtracting V4, which is our translation vector. Okay, all right. So we need to go back to 4. So go zoom back, zoom. There's 4. Now we have V6 minus V4, push pick. And what does it give us? Oh, positive half, negative half. Well, where is that? There you go. Option D. Okay. All right, let's go to number 6. Number 6. A glide reflection is done for the point T located at negative 1, 3. Okay, we're going to call that V1 as follows. It will translate using the translation vector 2I plus j. So we're going to call that V2. Then reflect across the x-axis. Okay, reflecting, that is going to be 1, 0, 1, negative 1. Okay, we're going to have some matrices going on here. Here, let me write that better. Okay, somewhere else here. Okay, so sidebar note. Okay, that reflection is 1, 0, 0, negative 1. Now, in the prior video, at the beginning of it, remember, I'll remind you that was Competency 14, Part 1. Remember, this is 1A supplemental. Okay, that was part of it, saying, hey, you need to go and familiarize yourself with these things. Anyway, let's figure out how to use our vectors. Now, for time's sake, I have already entered V1 here. Okay, as you see, now let's go over to next and V2. I have entered our 2, 1. Okay, so what do we need to do? We're going to translate. Okay, so we're going to add those two together. So push math, and we want 1, so pick it, and then push add, which you need to trace to 2, meaning go over, that's next. Now pick it, and there is our answer. So you need to jot this down, okay? So we know that T prime is equal to the vector because you're going to have to enter this in as a matrices, okay? So what does that really mean here? So let me move this up, okay? Um, that we're calling that V2. Okay, so what am I really doing? I am going to take this first. So I need to enter this, populate that in a matrices, and that is a 2 by 2. And we probably want to call that A. So what am I going to do in my calculator? Okay, I am also going to have to call this B. I need to have, let's see, let me put it here. I need A times B and see what that equals. And now I need you to notice, see how I wrote my vectors? And you may have noticed that the vectors look like coordinates in the answer choices. That may actually happen sometimes. That's a thing about vectors and notation and authors. Okay, I use parentheses, many authors do, but really, like here, let me show you D. This is would have been another way to write this. Okay, all right. All right. So this is just something that you need to familiarize yourself with. Regardless, we can get an answer and we are okay. All right. So now we need to back out. Second mode, second mode, second mode until you see exit. We're out. Okay. Now we need to go to our matrices. So second, see where it says matrix right there? That's your X inverse. Okay. All right. So I need to edit. So I'm going to go over. All right. I'm going to push enter. Now, mine is completely blank slate. So I need A to be a 2 by 2. 2, enter, 2, enter. I am now a 2 by 2. And I want in my matrices, I want 1, 0 is okay, enter again, and enter. And 0 is okay. Keep entering until you get there. All right, -1, enter again. Remember, this is so I can reflect about the x axis. Okay, so let's look at our t prime. T prime is in coordinate 1. Okay, so this is telling me I want to keep, see where it has 1 where I have it highlighted? I'm saying, well, keep my value of x like it is, but I need to change my y. So I'm flipping it down. And these are just things that you've got to know. Like I said, if you are not familiar with linear algebra, you really should get there. If you don't have it for your math degree, you probably aren't as familiar as you should be. Okay. Great. So now that's edited. Now, unfortunately, I have to back out. If I don't back out, I'm going to start typing into my cells, and I don't want to do that. Okay. Second mode. So second matrices. Okay. But I'm going to go back to edit. I need another one. Okay. I need to go down to B. Remember, we just entered to get A. Now we need our B. So push enter. And our B, oh, we need a what? We need a 2 by 1. 2, enter, by 1. Now, if you can't remember if it's 1 by 2 or 2 by 1, just keep doing it until you get it. That's what I always do. Sometimes you're tired and you forget which one is it again? Okay, so now we need a 1, and then we need a 4. Here we go. All right, remember, we can't do anything as far as operation in here. So go second mode to back all the way out. So now we actually have to call them back on our main screen, okay? All right, so let's do this. Let's do those operations. So second matrices, I want A, so push enter, and I am multiplying, have to multiply them together in order to get it to translate, okay? And then I go second matrices again, but I got to arrow down and select my populated B, press enter and enter again. There is my value. But see what I was talking about on our calculator? It's in a proper old fashioned form. Well, I have to look over and select the correct one from, let's see, I need X needs to be 1. Okay, this isn't it, this isn't it, this isn't it, this guy's it right here. Okay, all right, let's go on to number 7. Number 7, a glide reflection is done for the point V located at -3, -4 as follows. Okay, first, before I move on, I want to call that V1. Okay, that's where we started. It will translate using the translation vector. Of course, I'm going to call that V2. Okay, then reflected across the X, well, that would be the line Y equals X. Okay, that's the identity line. Okay. What are the coordinates of V double prime, which is the result of this? Okay, what are the coordinates, which is the result of this transformation? Okay, they're just saying, hey, once you're done, you're going to have V1, then you're going to have V2. It took me a second to wrap their English around my head. Anyway, this is what you need to do. Okay, first off, okay, we need to take V1 plus V2, and that's going to give us V9. We write down V9, okay, whatever that is, but we need to translate that. And when you're taking something across the XY axis, what you're doing is that's like, you're just taking the X and Y and flipping them. Okay, but anyway, your matrices you use is 0, 1, 1, 0, and then you need to multiply that to whatever you had in V9, and then you're going to get what you need, okay? All right, now if you compare this to the prior video, this is a lot simpler. You'll see everything where I wrote stuff out. Here, you just pop it in the calculator, okay? So let's go to our apps, right? Remember, you arrow up until you get your side tools. Okay, press it twice. 4 is what we need. That's our vectors. Oops, oops, oops. I shouldn't have entered. Okay. It doesn't matter. Okay, I'm gonna go back. See what I did? Okay, see how when I did this, it changed. See how it moved our line around? That is something you can do when you're trying to figure out what your line is. You can like move things around. Okay, but we don't want to do any of that. That was just something that was a coincidence that showed up. What do we need to do? I'm in V1. I'm going to press my Y equals, and I'm going to say -3, enter -4. Yes, that's what it is. Then view. Then I go trace to go to my V2, and I want to enter. Okay, I'm going to push my Y equals to enter. Okay, then I have -2, enter, and 3, enter. View it. Now it's time to do the math. So I say graph. Okay, I already want 1. Okay, it's already there. Pops me back to 1 every time. So I push pick, and I'm adding, but I'm going to add to V2. So I go next. Okay, make sure it says what I want up here. Yes, it does. And I pick it. That's my V9. So I need to jot that down somewhere. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to erase that. I'm going to erase this. And I am actually writing down what my V9 is. -5, -1. Okay, -5, -1. Yes. Okay. Now I need to back out and populate my matrices. Remember? Now we can just use A, B again. A, B, and just type over the numbers. Okay. All right. So second mode, second mode, second mode, exit. Okay. Second matrices, go to edit. I'm going to edit my A. Okay. So let's see. I need 0 and then 1 and then 1 again and then 0. Okay, now I've changed it. Remember, can't do anything else in here. I'm just simply changing what I need. So now back out, go second matrices, go over to edit, but I need to go down and edit B. So I have B. Okay, so now you can just arrow until you get there. I need -5, enter, -1, enter, double check it. Yes, I'm okay. Second, back out. Now, here's a little trick. If you arrow up, see where I already had A times B? Just capture it, press enter again. Okay, and at first glance, you may think, oh, well, that's what I had. No, it isn't. What it did, notice, it just transposed my X and my Y. Didn't I mention that earlier? If you didn't understand what I was saying, that's what I meant. You're just flipping things across that identity line. So who is that? That is option D. Okay. All right. Much simpler. All right. So now let's move on. Number 8. The point W located at 5, -9, and is rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin to point W. What are the coordinates? Not point W, point W prime. What are the coordinates of this point W prime? Okay, so what do we do? First, we need the matrix for counterclockwise of 90 degrees. Well, that is 0, -1, 1, and 0. Let me double check. Yes, I am right. And we're going to multiply that to our 5 minus 9. Okay, let's put this in the calculator. Just as before, we will put this in A and multiply it to our B, okay? All right, so second matrix, go over and edit, enter. So looks like it's very close, except right here in this cell, we need -1 and enter. Okay, we're done. Back out, and we go to second matrix, edit, we're going down to number 2, see that? And there we go. Now we need 5 and -9. Enter down, so we just need a +5 and then a -9 and enter. Okay, now back out. But because we've changed A and B, we can just go up real quick, capture where it's already typed out, and push enter again, and there we go. That's our option. 9, x equals 9, and 5 equals y. Okay, those are our coordinates, 9, 5. Okay, all right, let's go to number 9. All right, it says the point P located at -8, 10, okay, and is rotated 80 degrees about the origin to the point P prime. What are the coordinates of P prime? Okay, I happen to know the matrices for this. Basically, what it does when you have 180 points, 180 degrees to your point. If I am correct, what it does is it leaves the values in their place, but takes the opposite sign. So I'm thinking, now this is off memory from teaching 7th grade. I'm thinking that our answer is 8 and -10. That'd be C. But I'm not making any promises. We need to officially put this in the calculator. I'm saying that we have our matrices of 180, which is -1, 0, 0, -1. And then we multiply that to the -8 and 10. And let's see what happens, okay? So we go second to the matrix, go over and edit this, push enter. Okay, looks like we're going to go to our cell. We have -1, enter, enter, 0, enter again. We need 0 again. Okay, now, and then -1 again and enter. And that should be the correct matrix. Second mode. Now go back to the matrix, edit. Okay, go to edit. We're going to number 2 this time. Now we need a -8 and then 10. Okay, so I arrow down, -8, enter, 10, enter. Okay, back out. Now we go back up and we're going to pull AB again. Okay, so we have it down there. We edited those, so it should work just fine. So let's push enter. And there we go. 8 and -10, and that is option C. Okay. See, the way I memorized it is kind of the way we show the students in that the middle school levels and have them draw it out and memorize it. Okay. Obviously, I remember it because I've done it a few times. Okay. So let's look at number 10. The point Z prime located at -5, -7 is the result of rotated 90-degree clockwise. Okay. Of a rotated 90-degree clockwise rotation of point Z about the origin. What are the coordinates of Z? Well, that's not too bad. It's a multiplication situation, so we can actually just take the given, but we can't multiply it the way it's stated, okay? If they multiply to get to, we're going from, let's say, go from the point to the image. So we go, they're saying that they went from Z clockwise to Z prime. Now, to get the value of Z, we are going backwards. So we have to use counterclockwise. Okay, if you aren't sure about that, tell it to yourself. Okay, what we're doing is we're going backwards. They're saying this is Z prime, but you need to tell me where you started. We gave you the image. Tell us the original point. Okay, that being said, I'm going counterclockwise. And counterclockwise rotation is 0, -1, 1, and 0. Then times my Z prime, which is -5, -7. Now we can put that in the calculator and see what happens, okay? So, second matrix, go over to edit, enter, and we need to change that to 0. Okay, enter. All right, 0, enter, then -1, enter, then 1, enter, then 0. Double check I did it correctly. Yes. Back out. Second matrix, go back to edit, go down to B, your number 2, push enter. So now what do we need? We need -5, enter, -7, enter. Okay, second mode. Right now, you just pop up, grab it again, since you've edited both of them, and enter. And are we correct? Yes, we are. That would be option C, and that will be 7 and -5. Real quick, I'm going to go, I didn't finish these out on the others. But if you don't remember what we were doing, this is what we were doing. Let's spell it out. First, we multiply these two. So that's 0. And then we add that to where we multiplied these two. Okay, then that's 7. Okay, now that takes care of your x value. Now we go down to the y value. Okay, let me, here, I'll just use some other color here. Okay, so then what do we do? Now we have -5 times the 1. That's -5. Oh, that's not helping for writing. Okay, that's minus 5. Then we add that to, however, we have minus 7 times 1. So that is 0. So we add those up. What are we going to get out here? Let's be consistent with what I'm doing. Okay, what am I really going to get? 7 minus 5, just as we did when we put it in the calculator. So this was very small in elementary. However, if the numbers are, like if you have a 3 by 3, then that gets a little dicey. Then maybe it is best if you set up your A matrix and your B matrix and go about it in that way. Okay, this will be the last video in this first section. And again, guys, I really appreciate everybody that's been watching. It's great. But if you haven't subscribed and you've been watching, or you're going to keep watching, keep these things free. Subscribe and like us and share us. Happy testing.